Today we want to talk about something that we refer to in the office as the Virtuous Investment Cycle. Now, this is particularly beneficial to you if you are retired or retiring soon, and this is how you want to manage your money during retirement in our opinion. So here's how it works. I want you to think about a triangle, and that's probably about the best triangle I can draw. I'm not very good at art. But this is going to be broken into three components. And I want you to be thinking about your money, your retirement savings, broken into three different categories. At the base, we have, of course, our foundation, right? I'll just leave it there, foundation, you know what it means. Now, think about it this way. Have you ever seen video of, a town that's been devastated because a tornado went blowing through? And these houses are just sticks and splinters and just blown everywhere. What always remains? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's a foundation. The foundation remains. And the same is true with your retirement portfolio. You need to have a chunk of your money protected in a foundation piece that even if the stock market goes crazy, like, a tornado comes through the stock market every now and then. It did in the early 2000s. It did in 2007. Right at the beginning of COVID, 2022. It happens. You want to make sure that you have enough money in your foundation so you are in good shape. Now, what do we want our foundation to do here? Let's go ahead and finish spelling that out. What do we want that foundation to do for us? Well, first of all, we want to get a decent return, right? And typically, we like to say if we can get 5 to 6% in today's world, that's great. However, this is really, really important. You also want to make sure that you never lose money. We do not want to lose money in the foundation. We want our principal to be protected. We want to get maybe 5, 6% return, and that's all we're trying to do. Now, by the way, people all the time, they say, hey guys, it's Centennial. Do you guys use annuities at all? This is where indexed annuities, the right ones, not any indexed annuity, but the right ones, this is where they might play a role as part of what you're doing. This is important now. If you need income from your retirement savings, so let's say you're retired now, you're retiring soon, and let's put a number on this. Let's just use a round number, right? Let's say you've got, $1 million, say for retirement. You might have more, you might have less. Don't worry about it. We're just doing this keep the numbers simple. Let's imagine that you want to follow the 4% rule in retirement. And that's simply where you're getting 4% of your account balance as income. Well, 4% of $1 million is $40,000. So let's say that's what you want. We would tell you that you should put 10 times your income as a starting point in the foundation. You might put more than that in there, but here's the math. If you put 10 times your income in the foundation and you're getting 5 to 6% return, guess what you've just done? You've just bought roughly 15 to 17 years of income. How cool is that? Imagine that for the next 15 to 17 years, you never have to worry about whether or not your income is going to be there. It's just going to deliver income to you. That feels really good, right? And if you do that, what's going on these two pieces up top? Those are growth components in your portfolio. So this is all about right here, growth and income. This is long-term growth. So this is growth money up here. The longer time you have for your growth components to do their thing, well, the better off you are. I think we can all agree on that. For a lot of people in retirement, they say, Mike, I want my income to last longer. Well, guess what? If you want to put maybe 15 times income down here, you could potentially end up with income for life. So, what's the right number for you? It all depends. But let's, for now, stick to the 10 times number. And if you got $1 million, you want $40,000 a year. What's 10 times 40,000? Well, the math is really simple. You probably need about what? Maybe $400K in that part of your portfolio, in the foundation. Again, you want to put a little more than that. You're never going to get into trouble, but you probably need at least that. All right, let's go on and move our way up our triangle here. What's our next piece of the virtuous investment cycle, which I promise I'm going to get to? The next piece is growth and income. So when you think about growth and income, what is that? That's all about, dividends, alternative lending, real estate, stuff like that. Things that you get some capital appreciation, but we're also looking for income. So it might be dividend stock. ExxonMobil, great example of that. Big, large company, not going anywhere, big blue chip company. And guess what? They pay regular dividends. And you might have heard of things like dividend aristocrats. These are companies that have just paid dividends for years and years and years. Alternatives are things like private lending, real estate. We all know how that works. And there are also things like weekly dividend paying exchange traded funds, all kinds of things that we're going to want to put in that area of the portfolio. Now, here's the thing. What are we trying to get here? We're trying to get a 7 to 10% return over time. And I don't know about you, but I always want to know, hey, what's the worst thing that can happen? For how we manage this piece of the puzzle, losing about 15% in a really bad year, in 2008, the markets are down 50%. Yeah, we might be down 15 in this component. So there are losses that we could have there. But on the plus side, in a good year, gosh, we might make, maybe 25%. So, usually you have some pretty decent years, but you're not going to hit home runs here. You're going to hit a lot of singles and doubles. And yeah, you might have a really good year. It's like, wow, 25 is great. But you're also going to have a bad year. Whoa, didn't mean to do that. Have a bad year. And here's the deal. At the end of the day, having part of your money in that, that type of investment, that's a good thing. If you ever need more than your base income, like you need, hey, I want extra money. I want to pull 20 grand out for some really cool trip. This is where we're going to pull the money. All right, last piece is our long-term growth. That's the top of the triangle. Now, this is the wild, wild west. This is the fun money. This is all about capital appreciation, right? So what am I talking about? These are individual stocks like NVIDIA and Palantir and Google and Meta and Amazon and all those growth companies. They're not really worried about paying income. They may pay a little dividend, but that's not the purpose. These are just companies, they're just trying to grow like crazy. So that's just a mix of individual stocks. And this is where, guess what? When the markets are doing well, you're making, you're making 45, 50%. And you're like, whoa, check me out. And you're telling everybody at the barbecue, the local barbecue party you're having, everybody you're talking about how you made a bunch of money, right? Because it's fun and exciting. Of course, what can happen on the other side? Well, tornado rolls through the markets. It's 2008 and you're down 35%. And you're like, oh no, woe is me. And we're not talking about our portfolio at the local family barbecue, right? Over time, we're just trying to get 10% or better here. That's the target. That's what we're trying to get. And that's how it works. Now, if you put $400,000 down here in the foundation, how much money are we putting up top? That's $600,000 that's left over. How are we going to split that up? Maybe $350 in the middle, maybe $250 at the top. Something like that would probably make sense. And if you look at that portfolio, it's a pretty balanced mix. But why do we call it the virtuous investment cycle? It's really simple. Because guess what's going to happen in these two components? Every 2 to 3 years, what happens? They have really good years, right? What are you going to do? What are we going to help you do when you're having good years in the markets? Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start taking some of that money. We're going to drive it down to the foundation. We're going to refill your foundation. So you're spending money out of here. As you're spending money, it might be getting a little smaller. What do we want to do? Refill it with those really good market years. It's like a cycle, right? It's just the money cycles down. And guess what that does? Your income starts lasting longer and longer and longer and longer. And done the right way, guess what? Your money should last for your lifetime. And your total portfolio should be growing in size. It's all good stuff. At the end of the day, people always ask us the question, guys, how much do you charge? What do you charge somebody to do all this? Typically, give or take, usually it's a little bit less than 1% a year. That's what we charge to build these types of portfolios and manage them over time. So there you go, gang. That is the virtuous investment cycle. This is how you should be managing money during your retirement years. If you do this and if you do it the right way, and obviously the numbers are all going to be, different for you, but if you do it the right way, guess what? The probability that your money will last, you have more peace of mind in retirement, more financial security in retirement, the probability that this all works out to help you retire well is greatly enhanced, especially if you have this done by a professional that does it every day. All right, hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you again soon.